6:30 with the boys, if you're available Wednesday. And then,
Here's the thing,
and
document.
I like just like the groundwork this week and then maybe meet in a week or two. That was my last day too.
It's not a smart that's low. Because we have some old concepts.
We had one and it's finally done. We brought it into our office. Did everyone sign in? Thank you.
I'm looking for just information about where all these things.
They call the meeting to order. Let's do the flag.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Mr. Arndt,
Here.
Ms. Cook,
Here.
Ms. Eisenhart,
Here.
Ms. Falcone,
Here.
Ms. Hassler,
Here.
Ms. Pummer,
Here.
Mr. Stufflet, Mr. Miller.
Here. Communications.
East Penn Manufacturing is a client of Barry Eisen and Associates, and we were contacted by that representative for a request for a letter of deferral since a project that East Penn is doing on their property located in Long Swamp borders Topton, but the majority of the project site area is located in Long Swamp Township. Is there a representative here from Barry Eisen and Associates or from East Penn Manufacturing? Okay. They did submit plans, so they were here for anyone's review on council. Did council have any questions?
I did not review that. You said the majority of the project is on Long Swamp.
Correct.
Some is on our property.
Correct.
Some
Some of the property.
property is.
Is some of the, is the development in Long Swamp or is the development?
See, this is where the expert should be in the presence of council, in my opinion. Do you have any information, Charlie, just these?
I do not,
Okay.
I'm not aware. The previous project and in general, almost all the significant development should be outside of the people ash.
Where's the Borough Township? What are they developing?
They wanna put a
Trailer
lot.
parking, they're expanding their trailer parking. Currently, I believe it's stone. It was kind of like tabled in a project that they
This is where the
had
school is.
wanted to do in the past, never got to it, now they're getting to it. Correct?
They want to add more stone, or they want to pave
Because
the stone?
Jefferson.
I have no idea what the details of the project itself is. All I know is the title is Trailer Parking Expansion that is currently stone.
I think they tried to do that previously, but again, since I'm your engineer, I have studiously avoided finding anything.
Right,
out about
yes,
the
it's
project.
a conflict of
You're trying to
interest.
wall yourself
Yeah.
off from it.
Yes.
I can't give you any advice on
Yeah,
that.
I'm not sure exactly what I'm seeing here as far as what part of it might be within the township. If this is the borough in here, it's possible that some of the, looks like maybe some of the stormwater facilities could be and stormwater easements could be in the town, yeah, I'm not entirely sure where the line is. It looks like, as I said, it looks like a very small amount of the development would
Do
be.
you want to go to
It-
that's a faraway view?
Just in general, it is, if you cannot tell, it's perfectly acceptable to send something like that back to someone with questions that say, we need clarification on what you're
Yeah,
looking for
I
us to
think-
defer.
Yeah, I think we need to have somebody just tell us what percentage of it and what features of the
How many
improvements are in
square
the borough.
feet, how many
Right.
square feet?
Square feet and what percentage of it,
And I'm very concerned about impervious surface expansion, and on our property certainly, and what they set up for stormwater, is that all gone through?
but, well, it has, right, it has to,
Appropriate authorities for
right, it has to
approval?
go through the county conservation district. So it does, those features do need to be approved, so I'm not as concerned about that, but I would like to know, before we defer review, what percentage of the project and what percentage of the improvements, and you're right, the impervious cover would be in the borough as compared to the township. I mean, usually one or the other, one municipality or the other takes the lead, and usually that's the one with the greatest amount of the development.
But it is, we're not using it right now, but it is our land to use, and once they
Right, no, there's,
trailer park on it.
right, no, there's no question that
We
that
can't
we
use
just
it.
have to sign off on it, but,
Yeah, so
but I'd
we're
like to
giving
know,
up our land.
but we need to know.
No, it's their land.
It's
Just
just
in our
Penn
municipality.
Manufacturing's land.
Right, it is privately owned land that's located in the
Yes.
borough.
Who owns it?
East Penn
East Penn.
Manufacturing
They do own it.
Yeah.
Company.
Yes. The problem is the property stretches both
Into,
municipalities.
Yeah, when I say ours, I mean Borough of Topton, as opposed to Long Swamp Township.
right.
So if you would direct me to communicate with the
I
representative.
need to
East Penn.
communicate with East Penn or EIA.
Thank you.
We'll table that then until discussion on deferral.
Table.
Yeah. Mayor's report?
The only thing I have, again, I go walking all the time, it's nice, it was real nice today, so saw a lot of kids out taking advantage of walking home from school, just, again, with the speed in town, just watch at the crosswalks for kids leaving school, that, I mean, there are more and more out and about now that it's nicer weather, that's all I have.
Since we're on Guy, I would like, if there be two other members from council that would join Guy in the committee for the police. I think Dan, I wanted Guy to start talking about our options
Typically, when we have our own police force, he'd be
in charge.
We
Right.
don't
But
have
that's
that
not the
now.
case. Yeah,
That's
that's-
not the case that we have, so we should have, I'll volunteer. Opinion that.
Elena and Scott? Okay, thank you. Hearing of visitors? Go ahead, Monica.
I just have a question, if there's gonna be something addressed with the meeting with the International Brotherhood of Teamsters, Local 773. It does say status on here, but a lot of times there's nothing further indicated, and I know there was discussion a couple meetings ago where no things getting anywhere, and
Okay, I'll give you the update
Okay.
now, rather than do it under my report.
thank you.
Attorney Boland spoke with the mediator. The mediator had asked for details about the borough's health insurance, and we gave that information. Also asked Mr. Taylor for similar information on the union's health insurance. He has not provided that as of yet. There's going to be an executive session tomorrow between Attorney Boland and counsel regarding the negotiations. So that's the update I give. The union still owes some information to the mediator.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Okay. Joan?
All right. All right, we'll start with 546 Celia Avenue. A release agreement was signed in the litigation over the actions of the guardian with Elder Care Solutions. The release is fully executed, and that action has been settled. We received payment in the amount of $4,182 after the signing of the agreement. That reflects all of the costs incurred, including attorney's fees regarding the property and its condition. I can also report that I have spoken with one of Mrs. Foss's children, her daughter, who is in the process of retaining an attorney to open an estate and be able to administer the rehabilitation of the property. Elaine, I want to thank you for putting me in touch with her. She's been very, very helpful and cooperative.
We are still, I think, incurring costs for outside vermin, whatever's going on. Are we still incurring more expenses?
You would be incurring more expenses, but that's no longer the responsibility of the guardianship agency, because guardianship terminates upon the death of the incapacitated person, and Mrs. Foss died in January of this year, January 4th, 2025. So they are no longer responsible, but again, we're attempting to have a relative open an estate that can be administered. Those items can be a debt of the estate. What we mainly want to do is get the property remediated, either repaired and brought up to code, or demolished and sold for the land. But one option or the other, the neighbors need to not have this on the block.
Right. Thank you.
Okay, is any further questions about 546 Celia? Okay, it appears there are none. In response to Monica's question, I've already answered given the status report on the meeting with the International Brotherhood of Teamsters. The next item is ordinance number 02-2025, which was an update, which was to break out the tax rate into the fire tax and EMS, with the fire tax and EMS tax, 7.4 mils for the general tax for fire protection of 0.65 mils, and EMS tax of 0.5 mils. These are all within the limits set by the Local Tax Enabling Act for taxes without having to resort to referendum. I would like to, first of all, are there any questions about ordinance number 02-2025? Again, it sets the total tax rate at 8.55 mils, which is $8.55 for each $1,000 of assessed valuation on property. Okay, appearing that there are no questions, I'll need a motion to adopt ordinance number 02-2025. It was advertised in the Reading Eagle on February 24th.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second it.
Roll call there.
Do a roll call, just, it is a tax ordinance.
Mr. Arndt,
Yes.
Ms. Cook,
Yes.
Ms. Eisenhardt,
Yes.
Ms. Falcone,
Yes.
Ms. Hassler,
Yes.
Ms. Palmer,
Yes.
Mr. Stofflet,
Yes.
unanimous.
Okay. Next item is the first addendum to agreement with the Topton Volunteer Fire Company number 1, which is a proposed extension of the current agreement for fire services for an additional 3 years. And that is currently, the fire company is currently reviewing that addendum, so I'll report on that next month. Hopefully we'll be able to approve it at that time. Next item is proposal for IT services. Stacy, could you?
And I'm going to defer to Ms. Palmer and Mr. Arndt.
Everybody got the spreadsheet then so we started out with 8 proposals and we narrowed it down to 3 based on what our current needs are and where we want to go with the cybersecurity and the remote and on-site support. So with the 3 options, the first one's advanced 2000, and that's what we currently have. And right now we pay for support remote, on-site, travel, everything, $195 an hour, which comes out of our $4,000 block of 25 hours. So we can get nickel and dime that way. So, and then the other 2, pretty much the same definite, applications that we currently use. And then the support for those would be unlimited online support. And then the on-site, if we would like to, we could get a separate service contract. In the case of Solve IT, it would be minimum of $2,000, which we could use, if we don't use it all this year, it could be rolled over to whenever we needed it or used it. We could, most likely, I think we could start out with just the straight remote only. And then, because in their proposal, they said that 90% of the issues are handled remote anyway. So I think it would be beneficial that way, as well as Turner. They have an unlimited remote support, and they come in monthly to ensure the system's functioning optimally. And that one, if we would like to have an on-site support, they would write up a service agreement for that as well. So you can see the numbers. So right now we pay $8,423 for the year. So if we just did the online support only with the Solve IT, it would be $7,794 without the extra service agreement, and that would be a one-time sub fee of $900. So, so that would be less than what we pay right now. And then the Turner would be, sorry, my glasses, $9,533. That also includes, though, the monthly visits on site, so it's reasonable that it's a little higher. Their onboarding would be no more than $350, but it may not have any. But that one, we'd have to find a little extra cash. So that's a quick summary of that spreadsheet. I don't know if anybody has any questions or wants to see what's all entailed in the monitoring and the bits and pieces of the whole operation.
You mentioned Solvent would be quarterly. and-
Yeah, they do their quarterly business.
And the other thing with Turner is that can be month to month.
Right, so yeah, so the locations of them are Advances in New York, so they're not, I mean, we have one rep that would be able to come from Lehigh Valley. And both Solvit and Turner are fairly local, based in Reading area, Wyomissing and Shillington. So,
You know, oh, go ahead. You told me, I'm just curious, Acrobat Pro for Teams, 1 user per year. Is that what we have now?
yeah, but we already paid for the subscription for that. And with the other two service providers, they would just transfer that subscription over to the new carrier, whoever we would pick. So that wouldn't be a problem, and we've already paid for it for the year. Same thing goes for the M365, we'd be fine with just transferring all that over, yes. And most of the subscriptions they would work amongst themselves, like, this stuff happens all the time, apparently.
Are there any cancellation fees? If, let's say we go with Advance 2000 again.
Right.
We'd stay with them. And 3 months down the road, we're going, we're done. We can't deal with them, and we're gonna switch to Solid.
Right,
Is there a cancellation fee?
no,
with
we'd have to give
Advance?
60 days notice.
Just like you
Yeah, I
have to
don't-
now.
Yes,
Okay.
they're pretty lenient with that, as right now they're being pretty.
And so Solid or Turner Tech, they don't have cancellation fees? I didn't see it.
It didn't seem, I feel they just need notice.
Okay, kinda like
Especially
62.
Turner is very accommodating, they're very customer driven. So they're month to month, they do month to month because they wanna, earn our trust. So there's no cancellation fee with them for sure. And Solvit said themselves, it's more of a time thing, 60 days with them.
So Solvit's at 60-day also, so Advance and.
But I think that is just a consideration thing. I think that is more of, it's not a hard answer.
I have a couple of questions. Stacy, what do you see as our biggest issues with our IT?
I'd rather not say anything about this contract at this point.
No, just what issues are you having in your office that you feel like it's an important feature to have? Is there-
Currently, we do not patch or update with a service provider. We do it ourselves.
Is that a
Currently,
problem? Is it a problem for you to do that, or are you okay to do that?
I was hired with 3 people full-time in the office, and now we're down to 2 full-time people in the office. And trying to get our work done the way it is difficult, so this is super important, not to leave ourselves susceptible to any, crime, cyber crime or anything like that.
So you have time to do patches and updates?
No, we don't, no.
Okay, that's what I'm asking. Okay,
Yes,
so that would
yes,
be a
that's
problem.
why it's nice that these providers of the proposals have
And there's
proposed this.
24/7 monitoring if there's any issues, if we have storage coming to a limit, if we have the security as well. They have the 24/7 monitoring of the system, both Solvit and
Turner.
and Turner. Different ways of going about it, but it's way beyond what we have currently. And for the price, it's a good investment.
Plus Advance is setting themselves up to sell too, correct?
What were the problems you were having with Advance? You were saying you were having all kinds of problems in an email when I asked you about them. You had said there were issues with them, and you didn't like them for some reason. What was it about their service is there something that was a problem, or cumbersome, or?
I don't remember that email, but they're willing to work with us. Originally, I was trying to save the borough money by not having a service on more of a daily basis or a weekly basis or a monthly basis. They came in quarterly and charged us from their block of time. And then we stopped that partially last year to save money.
And do you feel we need service like quarter or monthly? What do you think in the office that you?
The way
have
that
issues with?
cybersecurity is so stressed now, issues that come up not just with the employees, but with council members who also have licenses that are paid for by the borough and to be used by borough employees and elected officials. That's a lot to do ourselves if we would have to. I don't want us to be open to any liability.
I do have, the problems, if you would have a problem with Advance, you know, let's say you're having issues with your computer, you call them anyhow, they do it remotely. So everything's done remotely now already.
The quarterly visits were done in person.
Yeah, but I mean, other than that, it's done remotely.
But they charge.
Yes, they charge every time.
$195.
Because we do not have a monthly amount that we're paying them for that.
But it's
kind of service.
$195,
An hour.
yeah, to,
If you don't buy a block, yes.
yeah, I thought everything was done.
And a lot of our hardware is aging. Our computers have Windows 10. That's dying in October. That's not gonna be, that's not gonna be sufficient, so we're going to have to upgrade.
So when must this be decided on?
Like Julie had said, Advance 2000 has been very generous with requests that we have given them for extensions to the contract, to allow them the 60 days. We don't want to have to pay a fee.
Right.
And we had spoken with them today, and they're willing to put together something comparable to Solid IT and the Turner. So I think they would want us to keep them in line as well. So if we wanted to table this until they did and wanted to look it over more.
Because Solid IT does seem to have an awful lot that's included.
Yeah, they both do. Turner comes monthly and will evaluate. And he was very entertaining. He said if there's a light blinking on the, computer and he walks by, it'll be like it should be doing that. So it's sometimes eyes in the building help a minute.
Sure.
And we have 4 buildings for them to go to.
And they have no problem coming, as far as I understand it. And they all have experience with municipalities.
Solid does too.
Yep, all 3 of them, yep.
So Advance 2000 is thinking they're gonna give us the email protection of Back River, like
Oh, so these
Solid
are,
IT is doing?
no, they all have different, different services they use, whoever they have their contracts with, but usually they do like market standards or best available. Nobody's gonna reinvent the wheel, but if it's a hard and true, does its job, they're gonna use that. But so that company's the only one that uses that for the backing up emails. The rest of them use
What do they use?
Barracuda.
So we're gonna table it, or?
Generally, these things could be tabled for further consideration. If you want to go over the numbers, go over the spreadsheet, ask Julie any further questions she might have. What?
I said I tend to talk fast too, so.
Yeah, it can be tabled if somebody moves, you had to table it to the next agenda.
And if I understand correctly, Advance 2000 is going to come back to us with
Possibly.
numbers.
I feel like their rates could be higher from just the conversation today, but, they might be competitive, who knows? But they are from New York, they are,
Okay.
And
Like,
if you're thinking
I-
about selling,
Yeah,
you don't know
there's
what
a
you're
couple
gonna
of
get.
mixed in.
That with computers, yes, that is a concern.
that is that's a concern.
You said they have a Lehigh Valley rep that could come here.
Well, we already have a relationship with him right now, so, and it's one person where we would have at least two from Solve IT, and I think there's a couple that are gonna be dedicated to supporting us from both the other ones. So we'd probably get more personal, contact and support from the revenue-based ones versus the meter-based ones.
Yeah, rather than.
Just my observation.
How long are their rates good for? If we would not decide tonight, how long will we have then?
Oh, yeah, good one, because I forgot to type that in the spreadsheet. They did have, okay, I might have to get back to you on that, but it is.
Oh, it's, I mean,
Yeah.
it's, you
Is
know,
it
if we
60
only have.
days?
It
or-
might be,
It's some-
but I don't think I think they'd be okay with working with us. I'll check with them.
Yeah, and I don't wanna sit here and go.
There is
"Oh,
one
it's-"
thing that Solid has that the other ones don't have. They do have a 4% increase every year, that the other ones, they may increase, but they haven't told us, so. Upfront, they told us that part.
Okay, so the other two,
They
is there a
haven't-
contract for a number of years?
So it's, advance could be 1 to 3 years. You can break the contract within 60 days. Solve IT is 3 years, but can cancel with 60 days, and they're very accommodating. And the Turner's the month to month.
Turner's the most expensive.
Right, yeah. I mean, but if you put which I don't think we would do, the $2,000 on-site service contract for the Solve IT, then you'd be going a little beyond what the Turner is. I guess, I find both of them very good,
And-
so, you know.
And Solve IT has an annual increase of 4%. I just wanted to note that difference with the other two, from the other two.
Yes, so they'll eventually get up to what the other ones are costing.
We have to see the contract, and who knows if with them 2,000, we'd be putting in the contract that could increase so much a year. We don't know that.
Right.
It would be interesting to find out. Okay. Thank you for doing all this work.
No problem, it was entertaining, to a certain extent.
So do we have a motion to table it?
I'll make that motion.
All in favor, say aye. Opposed? Ayes have it.
Okay, the next item that we have is intermunicipal agreements between the Borough Authority, and Diacon Lutheran Senior Housing for two buildings on the Lutheran home at Topton campus, which would be Heilman House and Luther Meadows. Both are currently connected to the borough sewer system through the Diacon system, through the Lutheran home system, and they are seeking to connect through their own lateral to the system. They are also both seeking water service through the borough system. They're now receiving water service through the Lutheran home system. I've prepared two intermunicipal agreements, one for 53 EDUs, the other for 52 EDUs, which would need to be approved by both the council, the authority board, Long Swamp Township, and Diacon to allow this connection, because the properties are located in Long Swamp Township, but the Lutheran home at Topton property is served with sewer and water is served with sewer under separate agreements with the borough and the authority, long-term intermunicipal agreements by which they're both customers. I've prepared, as I said, drafts of intermunicipal agreements for review. That would put the water, that shows the water and sewer service to be provided to both of them, the EDUs that would be purchased, and that Diacon would construct and maintain and repair any lines connecting to the borough system. Does anyone on council have any questions about the proposed agreements? And we have guests from, who are here for the authority meeting from DACON and from HRG Sewer Engineers.
I just have one question about the building. So, because it is apartments, right? Would the billing come from the two different facilities, or would it be coming from everyone? You know what I mean?
Well,
So
it would be,
from-
they would both be bulk customers,
Bulk,
just like
okay, so it
DACON is now. Again, it'd be buying 52 EDUs for one, 53 for
Okay,
another, so
that's
there'd be
fine.
one customer.
that was my only concern, because that would be scary for the office.
Yes, it would. Do you have anything to add to Charlie, or do you have anything to introduce yourselves?
I'm David Baker. I'm actually representing both Diacon and the new company that bought the Lutheran home at Topton.
Evertrue.
Evertrue.
That's right, okay, I
Yes.
remembered that.
Yes. Any questions for me?
Well, we have a long-term agreement with you.
Correct.
And I'm wondering how that would be impacted by,
That will not change with, the long-term agreement is with Evertrue, the Lutheran home at Topton, and that would not change.
Right, the long-term agreement would have to be amended to reflect that 52 EDUs would come out and go to Evertrue or Lutheran Senior Housing, so that the larger agreement shows that of the 100 EDUs, that 52 would come out of there. So that would need to be amended, and there might be certain portions of it that would also need to be changed and amended. The agreement was drafted in the 1980s.
right,
So there are certain things that are out of date, so this is an opportunity to fix those up as well.
that would be important for me to know how
Yes.
that's gonna change.
Right, that would change in that regard, but the bulk customer status would not change, and the Lutheran home would remain a customer.
So you would get water tapping fees because it's a new water customer.
Right.
If that agreement change is made for the Lutheran home, then there would not be sewer tapping fees, and that's in line with PADEP's standing on sewer planning. The way they work sewer planning is that EDUs travel with the lot that they're assigned. So in this case, the 52 and 53 stay with them even though they've changed owners. So that's why the removing the 105 from that master agreement, and that would mean that no new tapping fees would need to be paid. If for some reason that didn't occur, that would make things a little fun, but then sewer tapping fees would need to be paid by somebody because that would be an increase in flows. They would be constructing from those facilities down Home Road to Woodside for both the sewer and water. So it would be mainline extensions of each. They're under the EDU requirements of a DEP permit, so we wouldn't have to do that.
Right, because there'd be no additional sewer EDUs, because
Yep.
it's simply changing the connection.
Yes.
So right now, do our men daily, weekly, monthly, whatever, check to see how much usage Diacon Lutheran Home is actually using?
Yes.
So would this be an additional test that they have to do in a different location?
I do not know the design of the,
They would be water meter.
if you're just talking about
Yeah,
sewer currently, is only sewer. Currently, we only have sewer under agreement.
Yeah.
And we can't monitor what they currently discharge, so we're going based off of EDU counts for each of the properties. So that's how we came up with the flow that we're requesting.
I'm wondering if there's extra manpower time needed because they have to
They-
measure here and measure
No,
there.
there'd be 2 meters, 2 master meters that would be put on for those 2 bulk customers, and you'd read the meters.
They'd be like side by side or?
No, they're new meters that, if whatever your remote read or software, you're reading meters for customers, so.
Which we normally do quarterly.
Yep,
for
so
our-
quarterly, you would be reading those 2 meters so that you could bill.
And Joan, if they exceed what's it written in here, how does that handle for the borough?
Well, that would have to be part of, I guess that would have to be part of the agreement, but generally, under these agreements, if they would exceed, rate for a certain number of quarters, the capacity, they would need to purchase additional EDUs.
So we should have that in the agreement.
Right, that should be in the agreement. I believe it's in the master agreement, but, it should be in this agreement as well.
Well, they're only entitled to the, frankly, to the capacity that they buy, so if they exceed that capacity,
They buy additional EDU.
yep. It doesn't allow them to buy it, to use more than they bought in the agreement. So you're not, they're using 60 EDUs, they gotta purchase the other ones, because the agreement's only for the amount of 52, for instance. So you're not handcuffed and going after the funds for the extra, if that's what they're doing by the agreement.
Anything else?
Yes, there was something in here about the borough. The borough may be required to take immediate remedial action in certain cases at the expense of Highland House.
Right.
And I'm wondering, so we're gonna tell them how much it cost us? And should we have a provision in here that they need to pay us within 30 days, or can they take a year to pay us, or what?
Well, they need to pay it upon, being invoiced for it, and if not, that can go to lien against their property, by operation of law.
Is it simpler if we have it in here to be paid within 30 days or something?
We
Some
I mean,
language?
it's something, if you want, I can draft it in, certainly.
On the first page, this might be confusing to some. The township, State Street, Mertztown.
Mm-hmm.
Highland House, South Home Avenue, Topton. It's not in Topton.
Topton Post Office.
It's not, but it's not in Topton. So
No, it's not, but this is a street address on there. I'm identifying them by street address.
it's incorrect. Highland House owns property in the township. This needs to be straightened out.
Right.
They may have
Yes,
been going by it.
these are background
To say
recitals. These are background recitals, and One South Home Avenue is a Topton Post Office, even if it's in Long Swamp Township.
Yes. I have a McKenzie address, and I'm in Lower McKenzie Township, that's how addresses unfortunately do.
Right, our office is in Spring Township, but we're a Wyomissing Post Office.
That's fine. For a contract, I think it should say the correct location, not necessarily where you're gonna mail an envelope.
Is it in Long Swamp Township? Is that what you're saying? It's in Long Swamp
Yes.
Township? All right, I can say Long Swamp Township, parentheses, Topton.
Thank you. Otherwise, as you read through this, it's, yeah. Thank you.
Anything else?
Yeah, I don't have anything else, if Carol has any further questions. You good? All right,
Thank you.
okay. All right, what I'd like to do is just make these changes suggested, and just take any additional comments our engineer may have, and after that, we'll forward to Long Swamp Township and the DACON.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. And unless anyone on council has any questions, I'll have.
No, I'm good. Anybody else? We'll go back to the police report.
Okay, thank you for coming.
The Lutheran, so we were talking, there's two different agreements.
There are two different agreements for two different buildings, and also two different LLCs of Diacon own these properties, which is why there's two separate agreements.
I'd like to see the same issues addressed as what we did in the first agreement. It's in Swamp Township. If there's an emergency, that they pay us within 30 days.
Okay, I'll note those changes to both agreements.
Great.
Good evening. Police report for Topton for February. Total incidents 15, no crashes. We issued 9 traffic citations, 1 criminal arrest, 1 reportable crime, 12 vehicle stops. We had 3 hours of criminal investigation follow-up and 1 hour report time. We took a report for a fraud where the victim reports someone calling to be from Apple, attempted to scam her. The victim realized it was a scam as the call progressed and disconnected before any information was provided, so no loss. And charges were filed in February stemming from a theft case that occurred at Speedway in October. C.I. Merkel charged an ex-employee for stealing approximately just over $1,200 worth of retail items. And I'm assuming he was fired as well. Citation breakdown, 2 parking, 1 obedience to traffic control devices, 1 school zone violation, 1 expired registration, 1 driving under suspension, 1 driving on roadways lane for traffic, 1 for speeding, and 1 for expired inspection. Personnel, the only thing I had to report is Officer Reach started with Berks County Emergency Response Team through their, she's attached to their negotiations element. And I'm still looking for part-time employees. If anyone knows anyone looking for work. That's Act 120 certified.
You mentioned 2 things in, when you started, criminal, what form of criminal charges?
The one was for the theft. Is that what you're referring to?
When you started, you said 15 incidents, 9 traffic, 1 criminal.
Yeah, the 1 arrest was for the theft, and
Okay.
the reportable crime was the fraud. Even though there was no loss, it still carries the.
So, okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Perfect. I had asked last month for a list of the shifts in January that the police department worked Topton.
Mhm.
And I don't, if I missed my email, I don't know, I never
Yeah, I believe that was
received it.
forwarded to you.
It was,
They should have been, yeah, because I confirmed with Corporal Arndt,
okay.
and it should have been forwarded to you.
I'd like the same thing for February if I could also.
Okay.
Just the shift hours that was worked for sure.
Okay.
Thank you.
Anyway, yeah.
Do you know if anything was talked about, I mentioned last month about setting up DOT at Jefferson?
Yeah, I believe it was done like either the next day or the day after that. So,
You did one already?
yeah. Sergeant Folk, that was, the information related to the supervisors, and then, of course, and Sergeant Folk is one of the supervisors, so he was out here. I don't know if it was the next day or maybe 2 days afterwards. So, yeah, one was already done.
Okay,
I'm not sure exactly where it's set up, but it was 4 trucks.
okay, thank you.
Sure.
Chief, just so you're aware, in the next month and a half or so on Callowhill, we will be constructing the street calming speed humps that on that, so
Okay.
just so you're aware that construction will be going on and changing the road.
Okay. Very good. Appreciate that.
Anyone else?
I was gonna say.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thanks.
Borough manager?
Sure. We still have not received our salt orders of 100 tons. Thank you to the nearby municipality who allowed us to borrow some of their salt for the last event that we had. Our winter municipal agreement is up to expire soon, and PennDOT should be contacting us shortly to renegotiate, I should say. That will be this year. I was in a telephone conference with a representative from Pliget to set up accounts or discuss setting up accounts, adding them as a depository to the borough. Currently, they are not one of the financial institutions that council puts under a resolution to allow us to place funds there. It will be necessary to designate where the loan funds will go when that settlement occurs this month. Otherwise, the reports that I submitted to council covers the majority of the work that was performed that hasn't already been mentioned or will be mentioned under reports of committees.
For the HANA annual conference in Bethlehem. If everyone has read about that and feels comfortable, I'd like to make a motion that we agree to send a borough manager to that.
I'll second it.
Is there a reason why we need to accept that now? I mean, rather, it's like that's kind of in the future.
No, we need to do it now.
There's generally a deadline with registration for professional conferences.
What is the deadline? Can you put the deadline?
I do not. And to be honest, we need to plan when I'm not in the office, just like anyone else who
Yeah.
takes time away, takes vacation, goes to
Yeah.
training.
And that's the other thing, do we already have a shorthanded in the office, that's why I was hoping we'd have another person already in there.
We were hoping so as well.
So maybe if we held off on this to see where our personnel coverage would be, if we were hiring that part-time person.
I don't think we need to hold off on it, I think we need to vote on it now.
Kathy, you seconded it?
I second it, yes.
Wayne, what were you thinking if we did
I was
have
just
a
thinking if we
second person?
waited maybe till maybe we would have a part-time person we'd know more about. But it's very difficult in our office, we're already shorthanded. And I'm not saying I'm opposed to approving this, I just don't know that this meeting it's urgent that it be approved this meeting. We could look at this, assess it for next month, and see if by then we have a part-time person, at least we know we have an extra person in our office.
I understand what you're saying, but, and get it, but like Stacy said, we got a plan, and for vacations and everything else, so if she'd go on vacation, it'd be no different, right? We're not.
I'm just saying that
Yeah.
it's March, this is in August, so April isn't like we're up against a line, I just don't.
But they encourage her to work their vacations around each other, and they're starting to work their vacations around each other now. So Trinity we need to know now that she's going to this conference. So that Trinity knows.
It's not just one person.
Exactly, it's, now Trinity knows Stacy will be gone, so Trinity will be here.
Anybody else have anything? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Have it.
So I also brought it to council's attention that we have a secretary, and that would be me as designated secretary to Borough Council, that if I should be absent, like going to the PAMA conference, we would need an assistant secretary designated to attend a council meeting. Any ideas, thoughts on that?
That's just temporarily till we get our, because once we hire.
Exactly.
This
And then
is a temporary position, correct?
until we hire a qualified person as a third person in the borough office.
Right, this is for attending meetings, so someone can sign and seal documents, have that authorization to do so. If it for some reason it can't wait until Stacy would get back.
And Joan, doesn't the borough code require at least a secretary or assistant secretary to be present at all borough council meetings?
The borough code, the borough code provides for the office of borough secretary.
I said I would do it. I'll do that.
Okay, secretary, this is under section 1111A of the Borough Code. Secretary shall attend all meetings of council and shall maintain full minutes of its proceedings. And then their duties, and it says under 1112, the council may, by resolution, appoint an assistant secretary. The assistant secretary shall assist the secretary in the performance of the secretary's duties. In the case of absence or disability, the secretary perform the duties and may exercise the powers of secretary. Assistant secretary may be appointed from the membership of council, but shall not be any other officer of the council. Council may appoint the assistant secretary as the assistant treasurer if the assistant secretary is not a member of council. So that's section 1112 of the Borough Code.
So above that, it said, Borough Secretary
Shall attend all meetings of council and shall maintain full minutes of the proceedings.
And someone from council can be that person?
It may be a person from council, yes, as long as that person does not hold any other offices on council.
Any other office, what do you mean by that?
Chair, president, vice president, or treasurer.
So the code is saying that a secretary needs to be at every council meeting?
Yes, yes, shall attend, the secretary shall attend all meetings of council, take minutes.
Get the,
Motion to appoint Councilwoman Hassler as assistant
somebody want to make a motion
secretary.
to appoint,
I'll make a motion.
to appoint Kathy, assistant
Kathy
secretary?
Hassler as assistant
To
secretary.
fill in as secretary at meetings,
As
take
needed.
full minutes, in the absence.
Well, that's
In
in
the
the,
absence of the.
that's in the Borough Code. It doesn't, it's by operation of law, it's in the Borough Code. It doesn't have to be in the motion.
Okay.
Somebody seconded? I have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it.
The next item is the Zelenkovsky Axelrod LLC audit of our financial statements for 2024 calendar year and fiscal year. It was presented to council prior to this meeting, so if council had any issues or questions. It's been on display as soon as they got it to us, so the public is more than welcome to review it, and it'll be placed on our website as well.
I do have something to say about the audit.
Okay.
I would like to publicly thank you and Trinda for the hard work because this is a good audit. This was a very good audit that we had. And that's a lot of hard work to get involved like this. So you and Trinda really went
Well,
above
and it
and
helps that we have helpers
Well,
who help segregate the duties.
Yes, thank you, everybody, then. It's like, it was a good audit.
Thanks. That's all I have.
Thank you. Committee reports. Environment and Conservation Committee, Carol.
Yes, source water protection plan, I'm still awaiting grant money for a kiosk. Kiosk has been identified. I get them from Uline delivered, they're very nearby. for the municipal separate storm sewer system, and S4. I'm looking into the rain barrel program again this year. I would like council to perhaps consider, if they do it again this year, having a rain barrel here at the municipal building. And it's educational, people will see it and say, oh, wow, look at that. And then also make the program available to, it wouldn't cost us anything, they would pay to residents who want to go and paint a rain barrel. They get a reduced price where they can get one and not paint it. And also, I'm still working on the 2 STEM classes for hopefully near the end of July.
Is that it?
That's it.
Thank you, Carol. Personnel and Policy Committee, Elaine?
Okay, as far as policy, I wanted to discuss and see if we wanted to approve 2 policies that we already discussed. Jen had made some revisions to the credit card usage policy. It looks like they've been added into this one that we have in our minutes, in our minutes.
Right, yeah, this was really kind of the second reading of it. I had originally reviewed and edited a credit card usage policy, and this was kind of a second edit based on some changes you had made, and I think in this form, it's ready for adoption, if council wishes to.
Can I have a motion to accept it? Or do we want to talk about it first?
Approve them both?
Well, let's start with the credit card usage policy, because there may be questions about the inclement weather policy.
We do the motions first and then
Well, no,
discussion.
but do the motion and second first, then discussion, then call for the vote after discussion.
Well, I'll make a motion that we
Second.
approve the
I'll
credit
second.
card usage policy.
Any discussion?
Joan's good with it, I'm good with it.
Yeah, as I said, I've reviewed it twice, and done 2 edits on it, and I'm comfortable with it, that it ensures the security of the borough's credit cards, and makes very clear what is proper use of the credit cards, when, where, and how, and appropriate ramifications in the event that a credit card would be misused. And that was the aim of our credit card usage policy, so there would be no question and no doubt.
All in favor of accepting the credit card policy?
Aye.
Opposed? Accepted.
The second policy would be the inclement weather policy. I have one question here on it to discuss, or one concern, and that was an edit you made, Joan, to the 3rd paragraph. Do you have a copy?
I do, I have it in front of me.
Okay, so,
I have the red line in front of me, yep.
okay, so the manager will make decisions of the closure after consideration of weather forecast, road conditions, consulting with our public works supervisor and/or mayor, and that has or council members. So would that be a majority of council members? Because I don't want it to be open-ended where like one council member says, I think we should close, and that's just one person's opinion. I mean, is there anything we can put there and put?
It would be, the reason I wanted to give maximum flexibility is you don't know when, if the mayor is going to be out of town.
Right.
Council members' work may not be able to be reached. So I wanted to give the manager maximum flexibility to use best judgment based on what she's seeing out the window.
Right.
And what has been told her by Public Works in particular, because they're the ones who are out on the roads and know the conditions in various parts of the borough best. And so that's why I wanted to give maximum flexibility. So to say a majority of council, to have to call around to reach a majority of council when there's an ice storm that's about to
Well, it says
arrive.
or.
Yeah.
So it doesn't.
Or
have to
council
leave
members,
it.
so I would like to leave that open, that's why I have it the way it is.
Okay.
I prefer to take out council members unless we do a quorum.
Well, consult with public works supervisor
And the mayor, yeah, one or the other will be around. Or the office manager.
Yeah,
And
but I would also want council to be consulted. At
Or
least,
council if mayor is not.
I'd like at least 1 or 2 members of council to be consulted as much as possible. because it is loss of a day of productivity. I mean, it has implications to it, but I also want safety put first and liability put first. So that's why I have it the way it is.
I have no other comments, this looks pretty good, so. I'd like to make a motion to approve inclement weather policy for the borough, Topton Borough office staff.
Second?
I did have questions, in some places. Extreme adverse weather is used. And then, for example, under office open and under office closed, it doesn't say the word extreme. And I didn't know for consistency if it should say the same phrase.
I wouldn't say, I mean, I think that that first paragraph is that it's the policy of the borough, and these are recitals in the beginning, to remain open. We're the ones who are plowing and salting the roads, and, you know, we're the ones who are basically in an emergency management capacity, so therefore, it would take a very serious event to close the office down, and that's why it's stated that way. That's why it's stated the way it is in here, is we're the emergency management people. We're not supposed to be afraid of some snow and ice, but if there's a blizzard and the governor's put the county, and the county commissioners have put the county under a state of emergency because there's 2 feet of snow, then that's something different. And I think those first paragraphs really get that across.
It's not just snow, this could be a tornado.
Could be ice.
Yeah,
It
right.
could be torrential wind, I mean, there's all kinds of.
Right, and these are all things that have happened in the past 30 years. So yes, it can be that.
And if I'm reading this correctly, it would be the manager would be paid, but the other 2 employees in the office would only be paid 4 hours.
That would be because of FLSA, and the manager is an FLSA exempt position.
Okay.
Anything else?
I'd like to make a motion to approve.
Already
We
done,
have that.
seconded.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Let's
Check and
Yeah,
see if anybody has any more
you know, before
comments.
calling for a vote, yeah.
None, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
No,
Ayes have it.
I wanted to bring up a short discussion on the nepotism policy. This stems from some issues we had in the borough in the past, we don't have any now, that I'm aware of. But we have had some issues in the past where we had maybe members of council who would maybe recommend a family member into a position or select someone to work for us that they were somehow connected to. And I wanted to, we do have a conflict of interest policy, but we don't have anything that would spell out, for example, if our manager was overseeing staff members and one of those staff members was a relation to the manager. That's kind of a conflict, or the manager has to recommend a pay increase for an employee that they would oversee. That's the kind of thing we want to kind of prevent, because we would want to maybe have, we don't want to have someone who's directly related to somebody who should be more than.
The idea is that you don't want to have someone who is a parent, spouse, sibling, or child in a supervisory relationship. That's the real aim of a nepotism policy. It's not gonna cover every family situation. It doesn't cover relationships, for example, that are close relationships but not marriage, for example. It doesn't cover everything, but it at least, and you might even want to consider certain equivalent relationships would be under this policy. But again, it keeps it out of the line of supervision and decisions over compensation and terms and conditions of employment.
One question I have for you, Joan, is, you know, because of the size of our borough code has some things that are allowable. For example, we can have someone who could be on this council who could also be working in our business office. And that's allowable by law. So can our nepotism policy do anything to prohibit that?
That's something outside of a nepotism policy. Nepotism is strictly familial relationship.
And how about, okay.
You know, again, this is something that's not going to cover every possible scenario and every possible time that there could be some sort of favoritism, but it covers the most obvious situations and the most blatant ones to prevent them.
You're saying it is restricted to supervisory?
It would be restricted to supervisory or to making decisions about compensation. For example, there's no reason that the parent or child or spouse of a member of council cannot work for the borough. However, that member of council cannot vote on that person's compensation, can't vote on that person's hiring, can't vote on that person's discipline, can't vote on that person's firing, and also a relative cannot supervise a relative. And there are different types of policies. There are some municipalities where a family member would not be, of a council member, would not be able to work for the municipality at all. It would be simply prohibited under the policy because there is only one chain of supervision because it's a smaller municipality. If you would like to see some sample policies, I could provide those for you because there are several forms of them.
I actually haven't reviewed a few, but, yeah, if there's something you could easily send, that's fine.
Yeah, some of the municipalities that our firm represents have different forms of anti-nepotism policies. So I'd be glad to send those to council for review. And then you can make the decision as to whether it's something that there is a need to adopt, or if it's a solution in search of a problem. It's, you know, it's a
It's kind of
decision
a
you have to
prevent
make.
problem as well.
Yeah, it's a decision you have to make. I'm aware of problems. I've seen them happen, and in different sizes, not just in smaller municipalities. I mean, the difficulty in a smaller population municipality is that sometimes there are very few people who are willing and able to serve. So sometimes it's certain families that just tend to serve in these municipalities, and have a long tradition of it, have done so very honorably. And you have to consider that as well when you're adopting these policies.
So you feel it's a good idea to have a policy like this?
It's something for council to consider. Again, it has to be a decision. Is it needed? Is there an abuse that you're concerned about? Or is it going to unduly restrict who can serve? And that's something, it's a policy decision that you have to weigh yourselves. It's weighing, it's just a, you know, balance it.
You're gonna send,
I'll send you some sample policies that are some of the municipalities we represent.
Elaine, I'm wondering if you would also like to do another one, and
What are your thoughts?
that is getting exit interviews to where we have one form, and
I actually do have one form. I had to modify that for a particular situation because it didn't really relate to that. But I I do actually have something I can,
I printed two out, I don't know if one has 20-some questions and one's,
okay, yeah, I have one, that's, yeah, okay, I'll take a
Thank-
look at those,
thank you.
And then that's it regarding policy for me, but I did have some things on personnel. I haven't had any updates on the part-time administrative position. Stacy, if you could give us an update on the part-time admin. how
We've
that's
only
going.
had 2
So
applicants
there's 2 applicants?
since the last time we met.
Okay.
Will you be interviewing either of them? Or you didn't?
Any
We're
interviews?
contacting one out of the 2
Okay, so you're gonna contact one?
to make sure that they understand the pay rate and that it's part-time.
And you still have the pay rate as a range?
$14 to $18 per hour.
Okay. Okay, and then also there were some questions regarding a sewer operator position. We wanted to discuss that. So if you could, Stacy, you had given us a copy of an ad that I think was from the previous time, we had put it in.
Revised
file.
somewhat
Yeah.
from the previous time when Kyle was obtained as an employee.
So what is it that we want to hire? That's the first question. Because our need is, we have one of our employees, we've had to, since we had a loss of somebody in the sewer department, we had to move one of our employees there because that's where he was needed. He's not certified. So we had talked about getting possibly a certified person, but considering getting a dual certified person. But at a minimum, a sewer certified person. So what do we want to look for here?
Well, as the ad says, dual certified would definitely be preferred, but I think if we just have to get another certified person.
So the question is, do we want a person who has a certification in wastewater that's a mandatory requirement? Is that a yes? Like, 'cause we have, rather than get somebody who's not certified at all, we kind of can't do that. Right? We've got to get somebody who is certified. Is that what you're thinking?
It depends on how long it takes to hire somebody. If it takes that, 6 months to a year where the person could be on their own then.
Well, we already have
Some
someone
kind of
person
balance
that-
has to be,
Right, so we need somebody that's certified, at a minimum for wastewater.
Wastewater.
Okay, so that's a must. As far as dual certification, that would be ideal.
Yes.
I still don't think that certification, because if we can train somebody, and if it is hard to find somebody who has that certification, it gives us more wiggle room. So when they come in, you can decide.
We can do that now though, because we have somebody that's water certified, and we could continue that person down the path to be dual certified or not.
If that person chooses, that person has been temporarily assigned
Right.
half water, half sewer.
Right. So they don't have a requirement by us to get certified in a second? Because the job description says a certification, but not both. It says they have to be certified within the first year, I think, or the job description we have for water or sewer.
So those are a couple questions. One is when council chose to assign this person, it wasn't written specifically that you have 2 years or whatever. It was written as temporary assignment.
Now, I'm saying in our job descriptions, when we hire people, we have in there that they have to get certified to be a water operator within so much time.
So those job descriptions, to my knowledge, have not always been shared with each and every employee who has been hired.
Okay.
They were placed into the handbook
And it
and
takes
made part
time,
of.
if they are not certified when hired, it takes time operating, it's at least a year, I think.
Right.
to get the experience necessary to be able to become certified. And I also note there are different levels of certification. And yours, I think, are fairly low requirement, so I don't think that's a big problem, but there are different levels of operator certification.
Well, there's add-on certifications also for sludge and other things.
Okay, but there's A, B, C,
Right, yeah,
and
see.
you need, if you had certain processes, you would require higher. I don't think you require the highest levels of certification. So if you're gonna advertise for one, I would recommend that the minimum level of certification be.
So put in level A or better.
Whatever's required to operate the plant,
So,
it's going.
Should be in the ad.
so it should be, so for sure, we want to advertise for someone who is certified in our level of wastewater.
I would almost assume you have to, because if we don't, to train somebody, you go right back into the window. My heart bleeds for that Alex guy, can't take a day off, so if we don't hire someone that's certified, that guy's gonna sit there again saying, I didn't have a day off this year, pay me out, which we gotta have,
He needs a break.
yeah, he needs a break. There ain't no person in the world that can work 7 days a week. So I don't think you can hire someone and train somebody, because that's 6 months to a year, he's not getting a vacation again.
So we're gonna hire wastewater at our level of certification that we need,
Or higher.
Mhm.
That's
or
what
higher.
we got, that's how we got Alex.
Yes.
And then, it's not required, but it would be great if they had dual certification. Would we be out of alignment to put that in there?
And if you're struggling to get the one.
Well, I'm just saying, we could open it up to, somebody who's dual certified, but then we have to pay for it also.
You gotta keep it minimal.
Stacy had-
You're gonna get that right away. If you've already struggled this much and you got a guy, you got some guy out there working 7 days a week, you gotta get him help. You want to stick with what you need to get now.
Stacy phrased it, state drinking water certification highly preferred, in addition to having the wastewater. So that's nicely worded.
So if you want to keep it like that, what she has in there,
I think it's good.
okay.
I don't want anybody else on that.
And then the hours, we want to keep the hours,
We had discussed at one point that it would be Thursday through Sunday.
What I'm stuck at is, when we talked about the dual certification, we were gonna make that, like Carol said, Wednesday to Sunday or whatever, so he could take care of wastewater and drinking water on the weekend, and we wouldn't need anybody up there. If he's only gonna have wastewater certification, is there gonna be enough work for him to work Wednesday through Sunday? Is there gonna be enough work on a Saturday and Sunday for him? Because now our guys only come in, what, 2 hours?
To do what
To
needs
do-
to be
Yeah,
done,
so-
Saturday, 2 hours
So-
Sunday.
He would have only 4 hours of work Saturday and Sunday. What's he gonna do? So do we wanna keep it that once he's trained, it would be Wednesday through Sunday, if he's only got one certification? Am I saying that right?
Yes, that would make him part-time.
No.
No.
He only has
He'd only
4
have,
hours one day.
right, if he's only got one certification, do we wanna have him work Wednesday to Sunday, or just have him work down there with Alex Monday through Friday, and him and Alex would rotate Saturdays and Sundays?
We have people that aren't certified that work weekends now. I mean, we were, that weren't certified. I mean, that's, while they're training, they can work under the license of the other operator. So, I mean, even though I know that if we have a sewer operator who can do our weekends, but he could also do our water if he were partially trained there. So he could possibly do both on the weekends. And other chores, there's other tasks they could do, like they, on a regular day that you would do.
They just can't make any operational decisions about the facility. They cannot, they can monitor, they can
Test.
do stuff, but they cannot make any operating decisions. So if the plant has a problem, the operator has to be brought into it.
We'd also talked about making it Thursday through Sunday.
And were they 410s then, Carol? 4 10-hour shifts?
That wasn't mentioned.
Okay.
Are you saying full-time or part-time, Carol?
That was gonna be part-time.
We were gonna do full-time Thursday through Monday.
I think it's gonna be very difficult. I mean, maybe we could put it there for full-time and or part-time in case there's somebody that wanted to do that, but it's gonna be, just open us up to possible.
Part of the conversation we had before that we were considering.
It's gonna be, I think what Scott said, it's gonna be very difficult. We better keep this as broad as we can to get with bare minimum.
So you got a guy that's gonna burn out. And in the long run, I think that could cost you a tremendous amount more.
Because you lose that training too.
I'm thinking you almost make it a regular work week, because weekends, it's hard to find someone that's willing to work weekends. And we got 2 guys on light duty now, so you're shorthanded already, so if you, I'm thinking you'd probably get more people interested in working Monday to Friday.
Unless we change the value, I wonder if we could,
You could also put in possibility of
Yeah.
potential
Yeah.
Potential.
alternating weekends.
Yes.
Yeah, we want weekends covered, we want somebody to cover weekends.
I get that, but right now,
yeah, we.
let's just put this in scenario here. We have 1 man that can do the sewer plant, 1 man. He burns out, calls here tomorrow, you know what, I can't do 7 more, he leaves, what are we doing then? What is this town, the whole town? If we got 1 guy that can run the sewer plant, we need someone that can run. So I think you take off the weekend thing, let's get a guy in here first. So we all, so this guy cannot burn out and the whole town can.
And then can we change them in the future?
Well, that's what I'm saying.
To the weekend?
Oh, yeah.
We can't be real picky right now, Carol.
Yeah, right now.
So we hire him one way, and then in 6 months, we switch him to Wednesday through Sunday.
Well, you can't do that if he's in the union.
Well, if you put in within the description,
That's the
potential
problem.
Could become a problem.
alternating weekends.
Right, because
We can't do that.
But if you got 2 guys, the weekend shouldn't be an issue because, hey, I got this weekend, you got next.
But you need to put it, you need to put that in the description now because there will, there will be a union contract and that goes to terms and conditions of employment.
And it's not serious.
I think we're all in agreement that we need to get a guy now and
Get them trained.
No, we need a guy with the
Well,
training.
then, yeah, but I mean, the whole picture. Our special system that we have down there.
Ideally, we got a dual operator, and this would be an issue, but we gotta get somebody in here now.
Say you start.
So we're never gonna get our dual operator.
There aren't very many of them. People on, there's not very many.
We could create our own possibly. We could have maybe some kind of incentive for that to be in our future, if somebody wants them here. Just a thought. Just like right now, the person we have temporarily working there, you give him an incentive to become a dual operator. Right now, we have a guy who's gonna burn out. Surprised he hasn't already.
Yeah, and if that happens.
Yeah.
Well, we've had people in there with him, right? And then they've left. Is that correct?
I'm sorry, Sam?
yes.
We've had people in there working sewer and they have left.
Yes.
And if Alex burns out, if he burns out and we end up getting a company, and we're gonna pay a lot more. We'll be paying $50,000 a month. How are we gonna do that?
Get started at your minimum, whatever the minimum that you need to run this plant.
Yes,
That's
that's what we
the
need to
ideal
do.
thing to do, say Monday through Friday, whatever, possible weekends, but again, that becomes part of the collective bargaining of the union. You cannot not just be like, hey, we're gonna do this. It doesn't work like that. Or you're, you know, panther or anything. So you have to have that person in line with what you're doing right now, per that contract.
When
So
we
you
hire
get-
him, he won't be part, when we hire him, he won't be part of the union.
What's there,
But by the time,
he would be eventually.
eventually,
He would be.
That's fine if we hired him one way. He's not part of the union, so
You'll lose them.
You can't do
They
that.
won't stick with it, they won't stay with it because they have to be part of that. So you can't say, well, we're gonna hire you, but before you get the union, we're gonna change your hours.
no, we're hiring you for these hours.
Right, but you, like you were saying, you wanted, then
That was
they could
before.
change them. Yeah, you
Previous,
can't
no,
do
that was
that.
previous.
Yeah.
Right, there's only so much you can change hours as a matter of managerial prerogative. There's, you know, there's some
There
flexibility,
is some.
but you can't change the entire job.
Right, and you wanna keep it, again, because you got one guy doing it, you wanna keep this as simple as possible to get his help,
Yes.
and then move on from there. I think that makes the most sense.
With the exit interviews, do you have a good feeling about why the different ones left?
I've only interviewed one person who left on a good note.
Yeah, it's better not to get into the specifics of personnel matters.
So Stacy should be directed to advertise
There
for
was-
a
I know why they
certified
left, we know when the next one will
wastewater.
be. And you want to-
And this language could stay here, you know, it would be preferred, I mean, it'd be highly, it'd be great if they had something more, but basically, the basics of what she has here. And then it would be a Monday through Friday with
Alternating
alternating
weekends.
weekends.
Correct.
Can you say a 40-hour work week?
Yeah.
But a lot of times it doesn't end up.
But then the trainer is here Monday through Friday. You see what
Yeah, I mean, you're
This is
still
someone who's
needing
already
it,
certified.
you're giving them 40 hours, but you're not saying where those 40 hours are gonna take place.
I would
within the
say
week.
probably Monday through Friday, alternating weekends to give yourself the most flexibility.
40-hour work week, Monday through Friday, alternating weekends.
Right.
And I think you had had CDL was preferred, not required, but the job descriptions, my understanding is, do say that within their first year of employment with us, they have to have a CDL.
I think that's for the public works people, isn't it? That's not for public works.
Well, for
I think
the,
that's for.
Yeah, it would be unlikely to be a wastewater treatment plant operator if it required a CDL.
We have sludge, it's not like we haul our own sludge, so that probably wouldn't be, we have somebody who picks that up, so that would be the only reason why. And There wouldn't really be a need
Unless
for
they're
that.
plowing or something with.
Well, are they gonna be, are they
I
gonna
don't
be,
Yes, the only vehicle that needs it is the big dump truck.
are they going to be someone that will also work public works a portion of their time? Because that's what our secondary guy was doing.
That's not my decision, council is reviewing this,
Well,
so.
what would you say would be best as far as placement of what our needs are in our municipalities? Do you think we need someone who's a full-time sewer, because I mean, between Alex has a full-time job, and he really needs help during the week, part-time. The other guy was 60% sewer, Kyle was, and 40% public works. So is this person also gonna have public works duties?
In the future, that's the ideal,
So then that
yes.
would probably need to be in here, in this act.
But Kyle was Kyle certified?
For what?
No,
Wastewater.
No.
no.
No,
So he was
his
doing
position-
his training based on 60% of his time.
I don't know that's why I'm asking
Is
Stacy.
that what it was? Oh.
In the beginning, it's heavy on the wastewater, and then filling the needs of public works.
'Cause I don't remember
as-
what Sean
as
was. Sean was
able.
50/50.
And yes, Kyle did work public works responsibilities, so did Sean from the get-go.
Right, so I guess that should be in the ad,
Okay, so we'll go back to the old ad then, because that's how the old ad was.
yeah, just whatever, just modify this, whatever you gave us to have what we.
Sure.
here's the job descriptions.
think it's in the job description.
What do you need in the job description?
The public works stuff that they do.
Perform other work-related duties as a summary.
Yes, some.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah.
You can keep your options as open as possible. Don't let it get pinned down.
Okay,
Are you all
so
satisfied with that?
So CDL preferred or required?
preferred.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're looking for Superman, you're not gonna find
No.
And not listing a hourly rate?
No, it's based on experience, and we'd have to look at that.
Okay.
And that leads me to, are you okay with the ad, Stacy? Is there any questions on the ad?
In the other ad, it said, how was it wages, salary,
salary based on.
based on.
That's in your
Level of
salary? is it-
That's in here already. That's in
Yeah,
here.
you have that in, but
She has that.
that's obviously in the other one too.
Yeah.
You're opening it up to those words.
Just want to get them in the door, that's what the ad's for.
Yeah.
And the other just little thing on that is how we're going to fund this position. So you had said that we do have some money that would be available. And the reason we weren't filling that is because we weren't sure about some other financial
Right.
things we're in the midst of. So, and then you had said in an email there was some money that we could find possibly for some of the benefits that were not.
And there had been adjustments and line items in the 2025
Okay.
budget.
Okay, so we have to look at that, because if we get a certified person, now we're at a higher pay rate than somebody who's not certified.
Right.
So we have to look at some of those numbers, we'll look more closely at those then, once we know what we've got. That concludes my review.
Right, thanks, Elaine. Julie? Thank you. Kathy?
Okay, I make a motion to approve the list of bills and transfers as presented to council.
I'll second.
Oh, okay. See, I can't.
In
I
favor?
didn't raise my hand that time, I promise.
Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
I also would like to let everybody know that, I'm sure you're aware the GGI rates went up, they increased. I did do some research to see if I could find some supplier that might be a little bit less for the municipal buildings, because we do use natural gas in the municipal buildings, and I found rates that weren't as high, but you still have to use the UGI lines to get it to you, and their transmission rates put it actually above the UGI rates. So at this point, we are better off just staying with UGI. So we have to pay the higher rate with UGI. And that's it.
Thanks, Kathy. Community relations, Carol?
April 5th, we have coming up the meet and greet first responders with the fire company, the ambulance, and the police department. And we'll have light refreshments, and it will be here at the Borough Hall. April 26th is Tidy Up Topton from 9 to 12. We'll be handing out garbage bags, and you can go through the parks or pick a street, whichever one you want to clean up. And we'll have refreshments after that. May 17th is Community Days with yard sales. And I'm working on July 10th, the senior luncheon. It's going to be held at the American Legion this year because of last year, I believe it was extremely hot. And with all the older folks not being able to tolerate the heat, I believe they did end up going to the Legion. I'm not
We
Wait,
sure.
were at
wait,
the
because
Legion
of
last year, and there was
Rain.
a severe weather.
Something
I
was
think it was like
forecasted.
tornado
Something weather
warnings and
related.
stuff.
Yeah, so they're just gonna go
So
ahead
we're
and have
down
it at the
there.
Legion. I have not talked to Jonathan about that yet. I did talk to Mrs. Reiner, I believe, who is it's the,
Senior.
that's the senior citizen lane. There's also supposed to be entertainment for that we provide, and I have no idea what kind of entertainment. And then the bingo prizes as well. So we're gonna do some kind of,
Ludwig
Canvassing
brought
town.
quite a few,
sorry,
Ludwig brought quite a few bingo prizes.
okay, I'll check with him when we talk to
Yes,
him. He'll be,
and,
I know he'll be good about that.
And there was a DJ.
Yeah, we have no funding for
Yeah,
anything,
that's
so
just it, we have no
that's
We
what
don't
we're
have no
providing.
funding for the DJ.
And also, I did ask Trinda to post on Facebook about volunteers for helping out with anything, and no responses at all. So it's, you know, we'll see how these first two events go in April, what's gonna happen. You know, the thing is, I don't think we should really push a lot of events, and the car show. We definitely will do that, because that seems to really bring a lot of people in, but as far as having money to pay out for anything, it's just not there.
Well, it's not in the budget, definitely.
Yeah, yeah,
Well, unless there's a business that wants to sponsor it, and that's just it. I mean, they're gonna
I don't
have
wanna
to.
go out and peddle and,
No,
you know.
no, so,
Especially with the 150th anniversary, which is the next thing here. I think maybe we should focus mainly on that year, next year. We have the next meeting on Thursday at 6 o'clock? 6:30? 6:30 on Thursday here in the building. That seems to be turning out pretty well. We're getting more volunteers, you know, that are taking over some things, so. Maybe what we should do is consider concentrating on the big year. But, you know, I'll keep on doing the things here that was done in previous years.
can we put anything on our Facebook page that says, you know, looking for any community organizations that are interested in hosting, the car
Hosting
show,
events.
events, please contact her.
Sponsors.
Sponsors, that's the word.
You're talking about
What's your-
sponsors. No, I was gonna mention something else about events. Because it just seems like, to me, the events we try to put on, we wait to the last minute, we don't promote, and we expect to open up the gates and people to come. And it just doesn't work that way. You gotta get out and promote, like, just for the May 17th deal, I told my wife and Denise Froneiser are on that
Yeah,
group.
they're doing,
I told them to get flyers and start going to bazaars and other craft shows and hand to the vendors so they
I
know.
have one vendor for that so far, for the
We
community.
usually hatch all that out Thursday.
What then?
Usually hatch all that out
Okay,
Thursday.
good, okay.
Because
Well, they're in
they've got
charge
a couple
of-
too.
For the 150th anniversary, they're on that.
I don't know, but I know they've been working on vendors.
A practice run.
A practice run,
Community
okay.
relations, practice for the big show.
Thank you.
So that's all I have.
Okay, thanks, Carol. Okay, the logging at the watershed, we're gonna be submitting the last permit this week, and then hopefully that can get started. Obviously, the pool's still on hold, and I don't know if Charlie, you got anything more on the Oak Alley?
Yeah, they've started work, we have approved almost all the submittals, so as I told the chief, we expect them to start working. The weather's clearing up, so probably early April on some of the paving and all, as weather breaks, but they've started working. We've had run into a few utility snags and stuff like that, but they are working through that, so.
Thank you. That's all I have. Scott?
Oh, I have a
Oh,
question, Scott. With everything that they're moving from Oak Alley, all the debris, the work, and on the corner up here now, the sidewalk, where are they taking that debris?
So they were going to be, they were communicated with during the proposal stage to fill the pool.
Oh, is that what they're going to, okay, that's what I was gonna ask.
But now we have to temporarily store it elsewhere until the status on the demo of the pool is no longer on.
Okay, that's what I was asking about.
So they have to haul it somewhere, they can't
Yeah.
dump it in the pool?
No.
No, because we haven't drilled holes in.
So you gotta break it up?
Yes.
You broke it up, oh, okay.
And that couldn't be
In the
dumped
pool.
in within the,
It couldn't be on the
Yeah.
grounds within the.
No, we already had this discussion in the ENS for the pool.
We kept the
Strict.
ENS really tight to the work for the pool, so you can't put it on the grass without expanding that. That would automatically kick you into a permit. The problem is you could put it in the pool, but since it won't drain, it would become mud.
No, I mean, in
And
the
it
pool,
had
like
to
on the
move.
cement, like on the other side of the building.
You'd have to move it to do the work. So
Oh,
it would
okay.
become something that you would, and bluntly, if you put it there as it rains, it's gonna become a problem for those ENS controls. It's gonna run places. Right now, you have zero risk, because there's no exposed dirt really, of creating a problem, having runoff go to the creek, having something that somebody's gonna see. You start putting, you put a pile of dirt there, you gotta seed it. You gotta treat it just like it was a construction site. So you would have to put stuff around it, you'd have to do seeding on it, you'd have to follow permit conditions. And you run the risk, if you put a pile of dirt there, for runoff to suddenly be created. Because you're supposed to maintain those ENS. Well, right now, it's not a big deal, because there's nothing there, but it'd be a big deal, if there's a big pile of dirt.
all right, thank you.
Where would they put it?
They're putting it up at the watershed currently during this project. And they'll have to truck it back down to fill the pool when it's not on hold.
Is there a way they can be downhill from any of our springs so that we're not, the source water is not having potential contamination?
Carol, there's an area up there where they were putting the mellings from other projects.
Uh-huh.
That's where it's going, and they're away from the springs.
Downhill?
Yes.
Thank you.
Scott?
Payment plans are available to residents that need one. You just gotta go to the office for the information. Late letters were mailed out on the 26th of February, and termination of unpaid accounts is scheduled for Monday, April 7th. Spring is almost here, so as a reminder to check any outdoor water fixtures for damages, leaks. And within the last month, there was a repair made over on Hefner, and it's been taken care of, so no further action for that.
Charlie?
Not a whole lot. As reported last meeting, we got the DRBC in, we are finalizing the Chapter 94, it's due at the end of this month. The well, they're still working through with DEP, it's the lead exclusion. They wanted information because of the range that's there. Don't ask me, I'm not a regulator. This is also the quiet quarter for MS4, so most of that's on your end with the education and those type of things going through. Washington Street Pump Station, I have been talking with the vendor that was selected. I expect those submittals shortly, which, once approved, will trigger us putting the construction back out to bid. So we're still on timeline for that. I'm expecting those by next week, so. And I will review them first, and then I will send them over to Stacy and Alex, so that Alex can take a look and give them on them. But I expect it to be pretty straightforward, and of course, Oak Alley, Callowhill, there's two projects paid for separately through two different grants, is going on. We have been talking, the bids came in really good on the street combing, so we're looking at and having some discussions as we go through, trying to figure out what they might approve for you to do to stretch that. It hasn't been real positive yet, it's greatly negative. The problem is when you put in a grant, you describe an area, and it's not a real big area. So we're kind of limited, trying to see if they would take it to another street. That's what we're really trying to do at this point. And what criteria they would want to see to do that. So when I have something better, I'll give you that.
And did you have a status on the park master plan?
I understood that, I took it off because I understood that that had been turned over. Is it not?
Nope,
Okay, I will follow up and get you an update on that.
thank you.
Could I ask Charlie, the Washington Street pumping station,
Mhm.
I see, seeking contractors to repair pressure vessels. We had somebody come in and do some welding.
I just had that in because that's the last status I have.
Okay, I didn't know if there was more needed
No.
or
Have
that
you
hadn't been
taken care of
communicated.
that? That'll come off my report.
Thank you.
Thanks, Charlie. Old business, Kutztown Rotary Club Partnership Project, donation for discussion.
So I was contacted by Jim Springer with the Rotary Club, and he wanted to know what's going on. He hasn't heard from anyone for months. So just to recap, the Kutztown Rotary Club was interested in partnering with us to make an improvement in our community that would benefit our community, and they would like to do the ribbon cutting on whatever improvement we're gonna do, along with our 150th anniversary, which is next year. There was discussion about them possibly donating some money towards one of the items we were gonna put in the park. One thing we had talked about was a skateboard area. Nothing ever became more than a discussion on that. They don't know how much funds, they're doing other charitable donations to other communities, but they're thinking the amount of money they would give would be between $5,000 and $10,000. I don't have a hard number on that. And they wanted to basically do something to partner with us in making an improvement that the entire community could enjoy, or that is needed for our community.
Would
So
they,
it wouldn't be something that would be like, go towards putting in a sidewalk or something. It has to be for something.
would they be open to having a co-sponsor if the project was 20,000? I mean, they say they want to go in with us, well, we don't have money.
So that would be something we'd have to discuss with them. So he just didn't know who to talk to about that, so.
With the skate park, you know, when discussions were going on about a skate park, I was under the impression that that was gonna happen back here where the pool area is, and now with that being on hold. Isn't that?
The pool area was gonna be the parking, I think,
Pickleball.
and
Green
largely
space.
the green, the part that's grass would be
Where like a skate, something like that.
caught, but
Yeah,
I haven't looked at the master plan, so all that stuff should be in that master plan, and that's what really should help you make that
But
decision, so I'll chase it.
that general area was what I understood, like skate park, things like that.
Well, it kind of changed over the course
Yeah.
of that. It was supposed to be over by the old basketball court, then it was gonna be down over, then it was gonna be close to this building. And I don't even know where pickleball came from, so that was never on our list, so somehow the designer put that in.
But that, like, the Rotary Club did do a pickleball court for Kutztown, that's what they donated to them, and that, because they have all of the plans in place for pickleball, when I was talking to Jeff, it seemed reasonable just to do the same thing for us, and we did have them on our master plan to have a pickleball court, so with the master plan not being approved yet, and the negotiations still happening, I feel like it's stalled because we would want to make sure that, you know, we're not wasting the Rotary Club's time as well as, you know, not being prepared right now.
How much room do you need for pickleball? I have no idea.
Smaller than a tennis court, I think you get two in a tennis court.
So something like that could be done down at the old basketball.
Right, that's what they were thinking too, but like, if we have a master plan and we have two in it already, why would, like, well, they say you have a lot of pickleball playing if you have enough courts, so it's
I mean, I
possible.
don't know, I just, it was
Right.
just a.
I'll chase down the master plan and get that gotten to you folks, so
So at this point, should we have our manager keep in touch with the Rotary Club? Because we don't know when we're gonna have the space to do something.
And if
there.
they want it timed with the 150th, the ribbon cutting.
I mean, Scott had a good idea about a race car driver that was raised in Topton, and even having like a monument or something, like, you know, it's a tourist attraction for people to come, put us on a map, you know, with our moon tree.
Well, they really, the way they presented it to me originally was they wanted something that was
For
more
the
community.
community.
Right, right,
So
right.
not like that, like a statue.
Which drivers?
Al Herman.
Oh, yeah.
Don't you have a pavilion in the plan?
A second, okay.
In the master plan, isn't there one or more pavilions to go in? Could that be put in without
I think it was a
the
gazebo.
whole master plan?
Gazebo thing.
And that would be something that they could fund and put their little plaque on. And it might be easier than trying to get the pickleball court or the other things that,
We're not quite there yet, but there's other bigger
That- yeah,
projects, so yeah, that is a good idea, Colleen. Well, something we can discuss further, for sure. So I guess we'll put this on our next agenda, to give it some thought till then. and
Yeah, we can't let it,
we
they
gotta
need
get something
answers
probably.
before they get
Before
upset.
we lose it.
Yeah.
Right, all you gotta do is retain it on the
Yeah.
agenda,
Yeah.
keep carrying on the agenda.
Is that it, Elaine?
Yeah, that's,
For the hometown heroes, there's, took 2 down that were badly torn in the windstorm, and we have 3 people looking to put banners up when we hit the 10. So, that's all I have on that. And
We may want to discuss as council
hope-
adding locations, adding streets to those that already have been approved.
There's
And
still
that
some
have polls.
there's
We're out.
5 or 6 that need to be hung yet.
They haven't been hung, the last group of 17 have not been hung yet because of the condition of the bucket truck needing
Right.
inspection. But locations have been researched, and there are
Running
like
out.
5 or 6 that may have to be hung at the school street that the school has offered.
Are we at the 2-year mark?
Yes.
Some of them are gonna start coming down
Two
now.
of the ones that were torn were at the 2-year
We're
mark.
at the 2-year mark. Are we, is it allowable to hang others in those places for those 2 that came down? I didn't know if it was just that we could only use it for the 2 years or not.
And Preservation Board, Carol?
We did not have a meeting, however, Larry has provided, I think y'all have in your packets, a very thorough rundown of February. And the most important part is our museum money in the bank is $4,337.85. That's all.
Thank you. Have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make that motion. I'll second it.
All
I
in
made a
favor?
motion.
I second it.
All in favor? Opposed? Thank you all for coming.
Thank you.
There. We'll bring it up to Stacy. That's not the bottom
Stacy, is there something you described?
We'll have our inspector out on the construction project.
Don't you dare. I'll show you where the button is. So this is where the button is.
On the top.
This one right here. No, that's just a light.
Oh, okay.